Hey warrior, before we go any further, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now. Every single week, I bring you ancient wisdom repackaged for the modern world. The kind of truth that nobody teaches in school, nobody shares at the dinner table, and most people go their entire lives never discovering. So subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and let's grow together. This channel is for people who are serious about transformation. And if you're still here, that tells me you're one of those people. Now, let me ask you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. What if everything you've been taught about achieving your goals is wrong, not slightly wrong, fundamentally, completely dangerously wrong? We live in a world that worships the grind. Society holds up exhaustion like it's a trophy. You scroll through social media and all you see are people bragging about how little they slept, how many hours they worked, how hard they're pushing. The message is deafeningly clear. If you're not suffering for your dream, you don't deserve it. And so you high hustle, you grind, you push, you force. You squeeze every drop of energy out of yourself trying to make things happen. And maybe you get somewhere, but you arrive depleted, anxious, disconnected from yourself, and secretly wondering, is this really it? Is this really what I was working so hard for? Here's what I want to tell you today, and I want you to really sit with this. The ancient Stoics, some of the most successful, most powerful, most accomplished human beings who ever walked this earth, figured out something that our hustle-obsessed culture has completely forgotten. Marcus Aurelius governed the most powerful empire in human history while writing journals about inner peace. Epictetus went from being a literal slave to becoming one of the most influential philosophers of all time. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, wrote about contentment and freedom, like a man who had already transcended the need for more. These were not passive people. These were not dreamers sitting in caves. These were warriors, leaders, builders, and they all pointed to the same secret. The secret is this: when you stop fighting life and start flowing with it, life starts giving you everything. Think about water. Water doesn't throw a tantrum when it meets a boulder in its path. It doesn't force its way through, burning itself out in a desperate head-on collision. It flows around it, over it, underneath it, and given enough time, water shapes entire mountain ranges. The most powerful force in nature doesn't push, it flows. That's what today is about. Today I'm going to share with you 10 profound Stoic principles that will completely change how you relate to your desires, your goals, and the life you're trying to build. These aren't motivational quotes slapped on a sunset photo. These are time-tested, battle-proven truths that have guided emperors, philosophers, and warriors for over 2,000 years. And they are about to change your life. But before we dive in, I want you to do 3 things right now. First, hit that like button. It tells me you're ready, and it helps this message reach the people who need it. Second, drop this phrase in the comments to anchor it in your heart. When I relax, life flows to me. Type it, mean it, let it land. And third, share this video with someone who's exhausted from forcing things that aren't flowing, someone who needs permission to breathe. This might be the most important thing they watch this year. Okay, let's go deep. Principle 1. The art of detached desire. Here's the paradox that keeps most people stuck in an invisible loop they can't even see. The more desperately you want something, the more powerfully you push it away. This isn't just spiritual philosophy. It shows up in your everyday life in ways you probably haven't recognized yet. Think about the job interview where you needed the position so badly that you could feel the desperation radiating off of you. Think about the romantic connection that fizzled out the moment you became too available, too eager, too attached to the outcome. Think about the business deal that fell apart when the other party sensed that you needed it more than they did. Desperation has an energy, and that energy repels. Epictetus, who was born into slavery, beaten, and yet became one of the greatest teachers of wisdom the world has ever known, said this: "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Read that again slowly. He wasn't talking about being poor. He wasn't talking about lowering your ambition. He was pointing at something far more sophisticated, the difference between wanting something and needing it. When you need something, You become smaller than it. You give it power over your emotional state. You check your phone constantly to see if the reply came. You rehearse scenarios in your head about how it might go wrong. You grip so tightly that your knuckles turn white and your jaw stays clenched even while you sleep. That energy, that anxious, desperate, grasping energy, broadcasts itself to everyone and everything around you. And people, opportunities, and life itself tend to pull away from that energy. But when you want something while being genuinely deeply okay without it, that's a completely different broadcast. That's confidence. That's abundance. That's magnetism. The Stoics called this preferred indifference. It means, yes, I prefer this outcome. I would love for this to happen. I am actively, intentionally moving toward it. But my sense of peace, my worth, my joy, none of that is held hostage by whether this particular thing arrives on my particular timeline. Notice the people in your life who seem to attract things effortlessly. They're not the desperate ones. They're the ones who hold their desires lightly, the way a butterfly rests on an open palm, present, appreciated, but never gripped. Here's the practice. Hold your biggest desire in your mind right now. Visualize it clearly. Feel into it. And then take one deep, slow breath and say out loud, this or something even better. Feel how those 5 words release the pressure. Feel how they open a door wider than the one you'd been staring at. That's not giving up. That's growing up. That's trusting that the universe has a larger perspective than your current vantage point. Drop it in the comments if this one hit. I desire with peace, not desperation. Principle 2. Present moment magnetism right now. As you're reading or watching this, where is your mind? If you're honest with yourself, truly honest, your mind is probably somewhere else entirely. It's rehearsing a conversation that hasn't happened yet. It's replaying an argument from 3 weeks ago. It's calculating all the ways the future might disappoint you. It's living everywhere except the one place where your power actually exists. Right here, right now. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This is not just beautiful philosophy. This is practical, tactical wisdom for manifesting a better life. Here's the truth that most people miss entirely. Every single opportunity that has ever changed your life arrived in a present moment. Not in your planning, not in your worrying, not in your rehearsing. In a moment of presence, when you were actually here, actually awake, actually paying attention to what life was trying to hand you. The casual comment at a party that led to your best opportunity. The book someone mentioned in passing that completely shifted your thinking. The person you happened to sit next to on a flight who changed the direction of your career. Every one of those was available only to a present mind. A distracted mind would have scrolled right past it. But there's something even deeper here than just noticing opportunities. It's about energy. When you are fully present, not performing presence, not trying to seem engaged, but actually here, you operate at a completely different frequency. You're not carrying the dead weight of yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's anxieties. You're clean, you're open, you're electric, and that quality of presence is extraordinarily rare in a world full of people half watching their own lives through a screen. Think about the most magnetic people you've ever met. They're not the ones who talk the most or have the most impressive credentials. They're the ones who make you feel, in the moment of your interaction with them, like you are the only person in the room, like time has slowed down, like they are fully, completely with you. That quality, that's presence, and it is one of the most powerfully attractive forces a human being can embody. Here's the beautiful irony. When you stop running toward the future, you create a better future. When you stop trying to escape this moment becomes the launching pad for everything you've been dreaming of. Your breath is your anchor. Every time you catch your mind drifting into what if or if only, come back. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice 3 things you can see right now. Notice the weight of your body. Come back into your body, back into this room, back into this moment. This isn't meditation. This is manifestation practice. The present moment is not just where you exist, it's where you create. Principle 3. The wisdom of accepted resistance. Let me save you years of suffering with a single sentence. Your obstacles are not punishments. They are promotions. Life is going to give you resistance. This is not a possibility you need to prepare for. It is a certainty you need to make peace with. The question has never been, will difficulties come? The question is, what will you do when they arrive? Marcus Aurelius, who faced plagues that killed millions of his people, wars that threatened to destroy everything he'd built, and betrayals from those he trusted most, wrote this in his private journal, never intending for anyone else to read it. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Think about the genius of that. Not what stands in the way blocks the way. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not separate from the path. The obstacle is the path. Consider what happens to a river when it meets a massive boulder. The river doesn't stop. It doesn't declare defeat. It finds its way around, underneath, over time carving out new channels it never would have discovered without the obstacle. The boulder doesn't prevent the river from reaching the ocean. It shapes the river into something more powerful, more nuanced, more capable. You are that river. The problem is that most people, when they hit an obstacle, immediately conclude that the universe is against them. They personalize the setback. They get discouraged. They interpret the resistance as a signal to stop. And the tragedy is that often they stop just before the breakthrough, not because they lacked talent or worthiness, but because they lacked the philosophical framework to understand what the obstacle was actually trying to do. Consider the oyster. The grain of sand that irritates the oyster isn't its enemy. Without that irritation, there is no pearl. The pearl doesn't exist despite the struggle. It exists because of it. Your greatest qualities, your resilience, your creativity, your depth of character, none of those were built in comfortable moments. They were built in the fire. When you accept resistance instead of resenting it, something remarkable shifts. You stop hemorrhaging energy fighting what is, and you redirect all of that energy toward navigating through what is. You stop asking, why is this happening to me, and you start asking, what is this preparing me for? The next time something doesn't go according to your plan, and it will, pause before you react. Breathe. Then ask yourself these 3 questions. How is this actually serving my highest good? What is this experience trying to teach me? And how is this setback making me stronger for what's coming? Sometimes the delay is protection from something you couldn't see. Sometimes the detour leads somewhere better than your original destination. Sometimes the no you received was the universe clearing space for a much bigger yes. If you're ready to grow through the hard moments instead of being broken by them, drop this in the comments. I grow stronger through resistance, not weaker. Principle 4. The power of inner authority. Here's one of the most liberating and most uncomfortable truths in all of Stoic philosophy. You have been willingly handing your power away every single day. Every time you say, I can't be happy until this happens, you've just given your happiness to a future circumstance. Every time you say, I'll feel confident when I get this, you've just made your confidence a hostage. Every time you check your phone waiting for external validation before deciding how to feel about yourself, you've handed the keys to your kingdom to someone who doesn't even know they're driving. Epictetus said, no one can hurt you without your permission. And before you dismiss that as naive, sit with it. What he's pointing to is not that bad things won't happen. It's that your response to bad things is entirely, completely, non-negotiably yours. Your emotional state is not something that happens to you. It is something you, consciously or unconsciously, participate in creating. Think about how exhausting it is to live in constant dependence on external conditions. Your mood rises and falls with the stock market. Your confidence inflates or deflates based on whether someone liked your post. Your sense of worthiness fluctuates with whether the person you're interested in texted back. You've essentially turned yourself into a puppet, and every person, every circumstance, every random event is pulling your strings. Now imagine a different way of living. Imagine waking up in the morning and choosing your emotional state before you check your phone. Imagine making decisions from a foundation of self-generated confidence that doesn't require external reinforcement. Imagine pursuing your goals from a place of genuine abundance, not because you have everything, but because you've decided that your peace is not dependent on getting everything. This is what the Stoics called inner authority, and it creates extraordinary manifesting power, not because of some mystical law of attraction, but because of simple, observable human reality. People who operate from inner authority make better decisions. They show up more authentically. They take bolder risks because their self-worth isn't on the table. They attract better people because they're not radiating neediness. Practice this starting tomorrow morning. Before you check any screen, before social media, before email, before the news, pause for 60 seconds and ask yourself one question. How do I choose to feel right now, regardless of my circumstances? Then honor that choice. Make it real. Let it be your foundation for the day. Your external world will always eventually reflect your internal world. Fix the inside, and the outside follows. Principle 5. The art of strategic non-action. This one might be the most countercultural thing I say to you today, and I need you to resist the urge to skip past it. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. We live in a culture that has completely confused motion with progress. We confuse busyness with productivity. We confuse activity with alignment, and we've been told so loudly for so long that doing more is always the answer, that we've forgotten how to listen for the moments when the wisest answer is wait. Laozi, whose philosophy deeply influenced Stoic thought, said, "The sage does not attempt anything very big and thus achieves greatness." Here's what nobody tells you about constant forced action. Much of it is anxiety in disguise. When we can't sit still, when we can't tolerate uncertainty, when we feel compelled to always be doing something, we're often not being strategic. We're self-medicating. We stay busy because stillness makes us confront the uncomfortable truth that we can't control everything. And in that constant motion, we often create turbulence around the very things we're trying to attract. Think about a master chess player. They don't move pieces just to avoid the discomfort of sitting still. They wait, they watch, they think 3, 5, 10 moves ahead. And when the right moment arrives, they move with precision and purpose that appears almost effortless. Because it was built on a foundation of patient observation. Their restraint is their strategy. Their stillness is their power. Strategic non-action doesn't mean giving up. It means having the wisdom to know when you've done your part, and when your next job is simply to get out of the way. It means understanding that some seeds need darkness and time before they break through the soil, and no amount of digging them up to check on them will accelerate that process. This week, practice 3 small acts of strategic non-action. When you don't know the answer, say so instead of forcing a response. When waiting feels intuitively right, wait, without guilt. When you feel the urge to send the anxious follow-up message, pause for 24 hours and notice if it still feels necessary. You might be surprised how often the universe fills the space you create with exactly what was needed. Principle 6. Gratitude as a manifesting force. Most people think gratitude is about manners, a polite thing you do at Thanksgiving or at the end of a yoga class. But the Stoics understood something far more powerful. Gratitude is a frequency, and the frequency you operate on determines what you attract. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his morning meditations that he would prepare himself for the day by acknowledging human flaws, reminding himself that the people he'd encounter would be difficult, selfish, and frustrating. But in that same acknowledgement, he found something remarkable, the beauty of his own capacity for understanding. Even in the awareness of human darkness, he excavated reasons for appreciation. That's Stoic gratitude. It's not toxic positivity. It's not pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's the disciplined practice of finding what is genuinely, actually worth appreciating, even in the middle of difficulty. Here's what happens energetically when you practice real, honest gratitude. You make a fundamental shift from operating from a mindset of lack to operating from a mindset of abundance. And this matters enormously, because your mindset is the lens through which you interpret every experience. Through a lens of lack, you see obstacles everywhere. Through a lens of abundance, you see opportunities in the same landscape. When you wake up grateful, not performatively, but genuinely, You start your day tuned to a frequency that notices beauty, possibility, and connection. You walk into the same world as everyone else, and you see different things, because you are looking for different things. And what you look for, you find. What you find, you act on. What you act on, you create more of. It becomes a self-reinforcing spiral upward. And here's the deeper magic. When you express gratitude out loud to real people, in real moments, you change the energy of your relationships. Tell someone today what they mean to you. Write a message to someone who helped you without expecting anything in return. Acknowledge a small kindness that someone showed you. Notice how that act of expression changes not just their energy but yours. Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and enough is always the foundation for more. Principle 7. The strength of emotional sovereignty. Your emotions are not happening to you. They are being generated by you. I know that might feel untrue in certain moments, in the heat of a fight, in the depth of a loss, in the grip of anxiety. It genuinely feels like the emotion is something being done to you, something arriving from the outside and overtaking you. But the Stoics and modern neuroscience would both tell you the same thing. Your response to events is always, at some level, a choice. Seneca taught, "A mind that seeks truth turns from the new and unknown to the eternal and divine." He was pointing to the capacity we all have to step back from the immediate emotional storm and find the part of ourselves that is grounded in something deeper than the present circumstances. Consider two people experiencing the exact same rejection, the same door slammed, the same no. One person crumbles, spends months replaying it, lets it define their worth, lets it stop them from trying again. The other person feels the sting fully, doesn't suppress it, doesn't deny it, and then uses it. Channels the emotion into fuel, turns the wound into wisdom, comes back stronger. The difference between those two people is not luck. It's not talent. It's emotional sovereignty, the ability to feel your feelings without letting your feelings drive your life. This doesn't mean suppression. The Stoics were not emotionless robots, and anyone who tells you Stoicism is about not feeling is misunderstanding it entirely. Emotional sovereignty means you feel everything, the grief, the anger, the fear, the disappointment, and you feel it fully without running from it or drowning in it. And then you choose what to do with that energy. Because here's the truth about your emotions: they are energy. Compressed, potent, creative energy. Anger, channeled correctly, becomes determination. Fear, acknowledged and moved through, becomes courage. Grief, honored fully, becomes depth and compassion. The emotion itself is never the problem. It's the unconscious hijacking of your decision-making by that emotion that creates destruction. The practice: next time a strong emotion arises, pause before you act. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What information is it carrying? And what is the most powerful thing I can do with this energy right now? Then choose consciously. Make the decision from your highest self, not your triggered self. Say it with conviction in the comments if you're claiming this. My emotions exist, but they do not control me. Principle 8. The philosophy of enough. In a culture screaming at you from every advertisement, every algorithm, every scroll, that you are not enough, that you don't have enough, that you need to be more, buy more, achieve more, the Stoics offered a revolutionary counter-message. The feeling of enough is an inside job. Seneca, again one of the wealthiest men in the entire Roman Empire, wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." Let that land. This was a man who had more material wealth than most people could even dream of, saying that poverty was a state of mind, not a state of finances. He wasn't advocating for stagnation. He wasn't saying ambition is wrong. He was pointing at something subtle and absolutely crucial. The feeling you think you'll get when you achieve your goal, the peace, the satisfaction, the sense of arrival, that feeling is available to you right now. You don't have to wait for the outcome to access the feeling. And in fact, when you access the feeling first, you become far more effective at creating the outcome. This is the paradox at the heart of manifestation that most people never understand. When you genuinely feel like you have enough, you stop operating from scarcity, and abundance rushes in to meet you, not because of magic, because of mathematics. Desperate people make bad decisions. Content people make clear decisions. Grasping people push away what they want. Fulfill people attract naturally. Think about the most energetically attractive people in your life. Not physically, but the ones you're drawn to. The ones who seem to magnetize good things. Are they the ones constantly complaining about what they lack? Or are they the ones who seem genuinely settled in themselves while still being excited about growth? That settledness, that deep, quiet confidence that says I am already whole, is the energy that creates miracles. Tonight, before you sleep, take 5 minutes and do this. Mentally walk through your life and genuinely inventory what you have, your health, your relationships, the fact that you're breathing, the fact that you're growing, the fact that you found this video and something in you said yes. Feel the richness of your life as it actually is right now. That feeling is the seed of everything more that you want to grow. Flood the comments with this if you're ready. I am enough, and I attract from that place. Principle 9. The courage of authentic expression. Here is one of the most underestimated blocks to manifestation that I know of. Trying to be someone you're not. When you are performing a version of yourself designed to meet others' expectations, when you're hiding your real thoughts, suppressing your genuine feelings, pursuing goals that look impressive but feel hollow, you create a fundamental friction in your energy field. You're essentially sending a confused signal to life. You're asking the universe to bring you what your authentic self wants, while showing up as a curated, performed, carefully managed fake self. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself regularly, "He who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does avoids a great deal of trouble." The courage to stop monitoring your neighbor's approval and start living from your own interior compass. That isn't just personal freedom. It's manifesting power. Authentic expression doesn't mean being inconsiderate or reckless with others' feelings. It means having the courage to speak your genuine truth, with kindness but without diluting it beyond recognition. It means pursuing what actually excites you, not what you think should excite you. It means making decisions based on your actual values, not the values you think you're supposed to have. Here's the beautiful thing about authenticity. It is self-sorting. When you stop trying to be palatable to everyone, the right people find you. The right opportunities recognize you. The life that was always meant for you becomes legible, because you're finally showing up as the actual person it was designed for. When you wear a mask, even the right doors don't recognize you. Take it off. The world you're meant to inhabit is waiting for the real you to arrive. Start small. In one conversation today, say what you actually think, gently but honestly. In one decision this week, choose what you genuinely want rather than what you think you're supposed to want. Notice what shifts. Principle 10. Trust in divine timing. And here we arrive at the final and perhaps most transformative principle. The one that, when truly internalized, will release you from one of the heaviest burdens most people carry through their entire lives. Everything is unfolding exactly when it's meant to, not when you think it should. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." This is not passive resignation. This is not giving up. This is active faith. The deep, grounded trust that the intelligence behind the universe is operating on a timeline far more sophisticated than your personal agenda. Your impatience is often your biggest obstacle. When you demand that your manifestations arrive on your schedule, you do several destructive things simultaneously. You create resistance against the natural flow of events. You narrow your vision so severely that you can only see one path to your goal. And when that path is delayed or blocked, you conclude that you've failed. And you miss countless good things that arrive in forms you didn't expect because you're so fixated on what you ordered. But delays are not denials. They are often divine protection from things you couldn't see, or divine preparation for things you weren't yet ready for. Sometimes the world needs to shift. Sometimes you need to shift to grow into the version of yourself who can actually handle what you've been asking for. Think about the best things that have ever happened in your life. How many of them arrived on schedule exactly as planned? Probably very few. Most of your greatest blessings came as surprises, through unexpected doors at unexpected times, from unexpected directions. And in retrospect, didn't the timing always make sense? Weren't you exactly ready for them when they arrived? Trust that same intelligence now, even when you can't see the bigger picture, especially when you can't see it. Do your part with full dedication. Plant the seeds, water them, take the inspired action, show up with excellence. And then, and this is the part most people skip, surrender the outcome, not because you don't care, because you trust something larger than your own calculations. The universe is always working in your favor. Your job is not to manage it. Your job is to align with it, to stay open, to stay present, and to stay ready. Warrior, let's bring this all home. The ancient Stoics didn't have vision boards. They didn't have manifestation apps or abundance journals or law of attraction courses. But they understood something that most modern self-help has completely missed. True manifestation is not about getting what you want. It's about becoming who you need to be to receive what's meant for you. When you practice these 10 principles, detached desire, present moment magnetism, accepted resistance, inner authority, strategic non-action, gratitude, emotional sovereignty, the philosophy of enough, authentic expression, and divine timing, you stop fighting against life. And when you stop fighting against life, life stops fighting back. You begin to flow, and in that flow, things that once felt impossible become natural. Synchronicities multiply. The right people appear at the right moments. Doors open that you didn't even know to knock on, not because the universe suddenly favored you, but because you finally got out of your own way. Peace is not the absence of challenges. Peace is the presence of wisdom meeting every challenge with clarity. And wisdom, practiced consistently, creates the conditions for everything good to pour into your life. Your manifestations are already on their way. They have always been on their way. Your only job right now is to relax, to trust, and to become ready to receive them. If this landed in your soul today, seal it with a comment. I relax, I trust, and I receive. If you're new here, subscribe right now. This is just the beginning. Every week we go deeper into the wisdom that changes not just how you think but how you live. Share this video with someone who needs it. Like it if it added value to your life. And I will see you in the next one. Stay stoic, stay strong, stay open to miracles.